Hey guys, welcome. So I'm doing another live. So I did manage to find the How to Train Your Dragon book. I kept it in really good condition too. But this is the field guide. This is the guide to dragon species, which Cressida Cowell also was the author of this field guide as well as with the 12 as with this set of How to Train Your Dragon books, and she also did one that talks about the most dangerous dragons of the How to Train Your Dragon universe. But of course, the main book, the 12 set book series, talks about Hiccup and Toothless. But there's 12 books in this set. But if I can get a good deal on the set of books, because honestly, if I happen to find it at like a bull moose or something, I'm probably gonna do that. There's two things that I definitely am looking forward to over the summer. Um, but right now I'm kind of, I'm definitely gonna be doing a lot of things involving reading, fantasy, and things like that. But I also wanted to compare, and as I wanted to also compare Delatora quest or not that a couple. So these are the army figures. So Spin Master released 3 buckets of dragons between these ones here. So these are toothless dragons, but they're about the size of the trainers you would get in that bucket. So here's Astrid and here's Toothless. Same height. I mean, really the tip of the wing almost measures where Astrid's head is at. So these were sculpted about the same size. Definitely hard plastic. There was no rubber here. More like army men. Like not as like but like the axe is a bit, these are much more like rubber. They're not as the same material. The ones from Trial of the Flame. But if you compare this to this monstrous nightmare from the animated cartoon, I mean, they're both orange, but again, they really captured this. It's much bigger, and whereas this is very small. This is about the size, as I said, about maybe what you would see with like maybe a medieval army set. This is probably the scale of the dragon, but since we're getting a dragon that's like from the snout down, like much more detailed and much more enjoyable to display on your desk. Um, and then here's the other toothless. So here's the black toothless here, and here's the toothless we got on Friday from the Trial of Flames bucket. So, as I said, again, much larger in scale, more detailed, where like because the tail on Toothless here looks like a wind shaft than a tail. Like the end of it doesn't even look like a tail. Um, and these are definitely more poor quality than these. I mean, look at that. Look at that sculpt. The only thing I feel like they could have added was his red, you know, his what is his cast for his wing, or really the thing that Hiccup made for him from his torn off tail wing. But beautiful job with these from Trial of the Flames. and these are the dragons associated with the live action movie. But as I said, we got two really awesome dragons out of that too, that didn't at all really much get attention in that movie. We got what is it, Brumblehorn, and we got the Skrill, which I did get the action figure Skrill yesterday at Walmart. I'm very much impressed with this. I actually love it. I will say I wish maybe the wings could articulate more, but and this was the only Skrill they had there, so I'm like awesome, and I'm glad they actually have the Skrill in the figure lineup as well. Because if they had just done the main dragons in the movie, with Hiccup and Toothless, I mean, I'm not stating that these are at all bad dragons, but again, if they were just gonna, I feel like that'd be kind of a waste and not including other dragons. I mean, I think for like, since like they did, King of the Monster or Godzilla and Kong figures that were like huge, I feel like they could have done something with Red Death, what is it, the main villain in the first movie. Like they could have had like a huge, ginormous, which I actually think they did when the animated version came out. But yeah, I will say, and then the trainers. So the trainers in here, as you guys saw, are incredibly small. They're about the size of those like micro Star Wars figures compared to like the trainers in the old bucket. Now, I don't have a preference between the two because the trainers that are small in here, it makes sense, and it makes sense the dragons were bigger than the trainers, but like something like the monstrous nightmare, or it makes sense that the trainers are like ants in that bucket. But I will say I like this Hiccup figure from the older buckets holding his flame sword. He is all black though. I feel like there could have been more texture or more color to this figure. And then here, but I do like the height. Here's Astrid, Gobbler. I actually kind of like the white translucent. I don't know if he's a rare or the rarity of this, but he's really cool. We have Snowrut, the trainer of Monstrous Nightmare of Hook Fang. And then we have Rough. It's um I can't remember Rough. I think it's Tough or Tough Knot. I don't know, but he's got twin blades. I can't tell the two twins apart because it's a boy and a girl. But yeah. Um, but the field guide is like really cool. Because actually, if you go all the way back, it actually has a page. Well, actually, it's a foldable map. So it's actually a map that's like everywhere surrounding the inner. Yeah, so like the Meathead Public Library. Dangerous. Wow, so this is like all of Burke in like one page. So the Isle of Burke was is actually, so this is a picture of Cressida um writing the book, and in the background that is the this, I mean, it looks like Burke in a way over water, but that was her inspiration. And it says here, she wrote a little message: the past is another country, they do things differently there. So I really like that quote she wrote, because it talks about not all places are different. Every part of the world, even states in the US, they have different countrysides and they have different ways of culture. I would say if you're going somewhere that's not in the US, like Europe, for instance, traditions aren't going to be the same, culture's not going to be the same. It would be, but again, um I don't know. I feel like these older mini dragons they released aren't as cool as the ones. So Spin Master, I feel like for a while came to their senses and made dragons that actually had more than one color. I'm still missing a collection from this set, but I have all of them. But here is Belchin Barf, the hideous Zippleback, that rough nut and tough nut ride. And this is the green. So this is the green variant. I also have the blue variant of these guys, but that's their classical look. We've got so I like the hook fang in that box set as well, because they also, these more detailed dragons also came in little mini like packs too, so you'd get one dragon in a checklist. But the what is it, Monstrous Nightmare, I like this one way more. I'm still gonna customize this one and use him as my Monstrous Nightmare. We've got Toothless now. I really like the fact, so Toothless does have, this is an exclusive, but whoops, we'll use this Toothless here. But I love, honestly, I feel like they made, the only issue I've got with this Toothless, they made his wings huge. Like, even if you, I mean, he does stand, but they have him like hunching over like a cat. But I like the, other than that, I love the detail. They added his what is it, tail replacement tail thing. Basically they made a um new end of his tail when it broke, or when it was broken or torn off. But the big wings just make this guy incredibly wide. Like, if you were to feel this in like a blind bag or whatever, you would know it's Toothless because of the big wings. Compared to like this, like the wings are not bad, size wise. These are just massive. They're huge. It's almost like you could have him just dive bomb. Where this is more of an accurate wing Toothless, but they have such a gap right here too. Um, Captured very well. Um, Next up, we have Stormfly. Now, Stormfly, I like this Stormfly. They used purple and yellow, but Stormfly is the dragon. Is the dragon of Astrid. Stormfly is one of the. She's her species is a death adder, but um they can throw a projectile of spikes out of their tail, like they can shoot them out. Um, and then here we've got Gronkle, Fish Legs Dragon. They captured him quite well. But Gronkle is pretty interesting, but the way he shoots fire is what he'll do is he'll eat rocks, and the rocks will melt inside of his stomach, and he can shoot them out into like lava boulders or like, but they melt down in his stomach with lava, which is really interesting. Next up, we have Stoich's, Hiccup's father's dragon. Um, he's a really cool one. And that's right, Gobbler's dragon. I can't remember his name. Actually, Gobbler calls him, what is it? Grumpy. That's right. Grumpy is what Gobbler is. It's either Grump or Grumpy, but he is another. So he's not the species like Gronkle, but this guy is like he's one of the species that's the most dangerous. He can like eat anything in sight, and he'll like fall over and crush enemies. But other than that, I downloaded a new game. So this is themed. So this is not so Hungry Dragon World, the one we were playing earlier. I maxed out what is it? I can't remember, is it Mad Snacker or whatever? But we maxed him out all the way because I think each dragon goes to level 10, like that's the max level. Um but again, we it's offering if we want to do get a little boost, but I try to avoid spending like I guess money. I mean, games provide you with in-game money like gold or diamonds, or so really you don't need to really spend money on real money on a game unless you want to. But I mean, I would say as far as gold goes, what we're gonna do though is we're gonna play. We're incredibly close, but we can accumulate. So we're gonna. Ooh. So actually, we've got two objectives here that we can do right now, and then switch to Rise of Berk, which is another mobile game I downloaded, and then from there we can end the live with reading through chapter 10 of Deltora Quest and see how Leaf reacts when we know he already does not want Barda the beggar on his quest with him, but we know he's the son of the nursemaid in the book. first pig. So guys, we might get 3,000 right here. If we can, we have one more pig. We were just lucky and got one. So the pigs are like, it's funny because they attach like angel wings to them. And you can tell how they're holding crystal by the purple that's floating around them. Okay, we got a sheep here. There we go. Delicious. There we go. Hello. I'm gonna eat the eagles. Fly like an eagle. Eat the vultures too. Damn it. All right, we're gonna have to. We got so we got one crystal from the pig, so we just need one more. Freaking ad. No, we're not. We're not spinning anything. No. All right. So I think what we might do is we might finish this because we need 11,000 gold to unlock our next dragon. So, which I mean, we don't have to work as hard to do it, but I know we can do it. But let's start. What is it? Rise of Burke. I think that's the game. But this is the themed How to Train Your Dragon game. There's this one, and then there's one that is a puzzle game. Which, I mean, I played Candy Crush back in the day, but I find them kind of. I mean, I would say, to be polite and nice, I played them for a while, but you know, I got sick of it after a while too. But yeah, whoops, yeah. Next, set up your gamer profile. Okay. Noted autumn. No. I don't even like the avatar. I'm gonna go with, let's go with let's go with Skrill. Okay, so wow, many. Okay, there's the wolf right there. Yeah, I'm gonna choose the wolf. Shoot, we need 5. Create. Oh, sorry guys. I'm just put my screen back so you can see me. There we go. All right. There we go. So we've got Toothless. Ooh, this is a cool. I'll say this is a cool. So this game. No, I want to continue. There we go. There we go. Continue. Yes. Create activity. Okay. Continue. But yeah, this game does it does update frequently, but you can see on the back on the front here the starting pay we have snow reconnect. I'm connected to the internet. Okay, well, I guess if it needs time to download, let's just get into, let's keep reading Deltora quests. All right, so we left off at chapter 10. We might even get through 2 chapters. Chapter 10 is called Decisions. Salif Barba mumbled, Are you not pleased with your companion? Leaf could only stand gaping at him. Do not tease him, Barda. Smiling, Leaf's mother moved to her son's side and gently touched his shoulder. How could Leaf know you are other than you appear to be? Explain yourself. Berta pulled off the ragged cloak he wore, letting it fall to the floor at his feet. Underneath the cloak, his garments were rough but clean. He straightened his shoulders, pushed back his tossed hair from his face, tightened his jaw, and lifted his head. Suddenly, he looked completely different, tall, strong, and many years younger. I also lived in the palace when your father and King Eden were young, Leaf, he said in quite a different voice. I was gun I was the grown son of their nursemaid men, but they did not know me, or I them. While they were at their lessons, I was already in training as a palace guard. But all my life you have lived outside the forge, Leaf stammered. Berta's face darkened. I left the palace on the night my mother was killed. I knew that I would suffer the same fate if I stayed. My guard's uniform helped me to trick my way through the gates, and I came here. Leaf swallowed. Why here? Fate guided me, I believe, as it had guided Jared before me. Berta answered quietly. It was deepest night. The cottage was in darkness. I hid myself in the forge and slept. When at last I stirred many hours later, it was day, though it did not seem so. A terrible wind was howling. Only half awake, I stumbled outside and saw four strangers by the gate. I know now that they were Jared and Anna hurrying the king and queen away, but then I knew nothing. He glanced at Leaf's father. Jared was rather startled to see a palace guard lurching towards him. He added dryly. He greeted me with a blow that put me back to sleep for quite some time. Leaf shook his head, hardly able to believe that his gentle father would strike anyone. When I woke again, I found that Jared and Anna no longer feared me. Berta went on. While I was unconscious, I had rambled aloud of my grief and fear, so they knew who I was and well understood the danger that threatened me. They knew I was a friend, so we did murmured Leaf's mother. She turned to Leaf. We told Berta who our visitors had been. We asked for his help in seeking the lost gems of deltora when the time came. Berta frowned grimly. I agreed willingly. I had already decided that I would do anything to overthrow the Shadow Lord and avenge my mother's death. It is incredible, Leif spluttered. All this time you... Berta shrugged. All this time I've been safe, hidden in my beggar's disguise. Jared and Anna have given me food and shelter and helped me to play my part without too much suffering in return. I have watched over you since you were 10 years old. Watched over me? Leaf gasped. Oh, yes, drawled, drawled Berta. After your father was injured, I said that I would go alone on the quest for the gems. When the time came, but Jared and Anna felt differently. They believed that you should be given the chance to fulfill your father's pledge. He glanced at Leaf's parents as he spoke, remained expressionless, but it was clear to Leaf that there had been many arguments on this subject in the past. Barda would plainly have preferred to travel alone. He thinks that I will be a burden to him. Leaf thought angrily, but before he could say anything, Barda went on. I agreed to your company on the condition that you will be allowed to sharpen your wits and learn of life by roaming free in the city. I believe that this was as important as your book learning and your sword play, and fitting for the time ahead. But of course, you had to be protected from real harm. Without your knowledge, his lips twitched into a smile. It has not been easy, young Leaf, keeping you out of trouble. And this reminds me, you have my rope, I believe. He held out of his hand, not daring to look at his parents. Leaf passed over the coil of rope he had thrown down in a corner. His face had grown hot as he remembered how he had prided himself on his many lucky escapes over the years, and boasted of them to his friends, so they had not been a matter of luck or skill. Barda had been his bodyguard all along. He looked down at the floor, his stomach chumming with furious shame. What a fool he must think. He must think me, he raised silently. This child he had to mind like a nurse. How he must have laughed at me. He became aware that Barda was speaking again and forced himself to look up. My beggar's rags have been useful in other ways, the man was saying, calmly fastening the rope to his belt. Gray guards talk freely to one another in front of me. Why should they care what a half-wit beggar hears? It is because of news Barda has gathered in the past year. Leaf that we know it is time to make our move, Leaf's father added, eyeing his son's grim face anxiously. Hungry for further conquest, the Shadow Lord has at last turned his eyes away from us to lands across the sea. Warships are being launched from our coast. There are still many gray guards in the city, but few now patrol the countryside, it seems. Barda added they have left it to the bands of robbers and to the other horrors that now run wild there. There have always been terrors and evil beings in Deltora, but once they were balanced by the good, with the coming of the Shadow Lord, the balance ended. Evil has become much more powerful. A chill ran through Leaf, quenching his anger, but Barda's eyes were upon him, and he would rather have died than show his fear. He snatched up the map. Have you decided on our route? He asked abruptly. His father seemed about to speak, but Barda answered first, pointing to a spot on the map with a blunt finger. I believe we should move east, directly to the forests of silence. 3 gasps of shock sounded in the small room. Leaf's father cleared his throat. We had decided that the forest should be your final ordeal. Not your first, Barda, he said huskily. Barda shrugged. I heard something today that changed my mind. The Grey Guards have always feared the forests, as we have. But now it seems no guard will even approach them because of the losses they have suffered. The roads around them are completely clear of guards, at least. Stiff with shock, Leaf stared at the map with glazed eyes to face the forests of silence, that place of childhood nightmare. At some time in the future was one thing, to face it so soon in a matter of days was another. What what think you, Leaf? He heard Barda say. His voice was casual, but Leaf was sure that the question was a test. He wet his lips and looked up from the map, meeting the tall man's gaze steadily. Steadily, your plan seems to be a good one, Barda, he said. With no guards to trouble us, we will make good time, and if we can find one gem quickly, it will give us good heart to go on. Barda's eyes flickered. I was right, thought Leaf. He thought I would refuse to go with him. He thought to be rid of me. Well, he was wrong. So, Jared, Barda asked gruffly. The blacksmith bowed his head. It seems fate has taken a hand to alter my plans, he murmured. I must bow to it. Do as you will. Our thoughts and hopes go with you. All right, guys. So we're already at chapter. We'll read one more chapter. We will read Beware. I really enjoying this book. We still have a crap ton to read though. Um, but chapter. So we're still in the section of the Forest of Silence. We don't get to part two, or at least book two. Let's see. I'm gonna go back to see where we actually encounter book two, what page it starts on. Um, so, whoopsie. So, okay, so we're at part two now, Under the Shadow. So Beware is number 9. So the when bar. So actually, hang on. Oh wow. So yeah, that makes sense. So yeah, we're at the point where so we've read all the way. So we've read all of part 1, The Belt of Deltora, and we have read Leave the Secret Decisions. So Beware. So if we can get Beware done tonight, that'll be awesome. Many hours later, feeling as though he were living in a dream, Leaf was marching east along the road leading away from Dell. Barda strode beside him, silent, upright, and strong, a completely different person from the shambling, mumbling wreck who had haunted the gates of the forge for as long as Leaf could remember. Left could remember. They had left Dell unnoticed by creeping through a hole in the wall that Leaf had not known existed. So cleverly was it disguised. Now the city, his parents, and everything he knew were far behind him, and with every step he was moving towards a place whose very name made him sweat with fear. He told himself, the forests of silence strike a special terror in my heart, for they are near, and I have heard tales of them all my life. But it is certain that the other places on the map are just as deadly in their own way. This idea did not confront him in the least. For the first hour after leaving the city, he had walked with his hand on his sword, his heart thumping, but they met no one. And for a long time now, he had been concentrating only on moving quickly, keeping up with Barda's long strides. He was determined not to be the one to call for rest, determined to not to be the first one to speak, though his head was teeming with questions. They came to a place where a small road branched off, the main one to the right, crossing a little wooden bridge and then winding away into the darkness. Barda stopped. I believe that this is the path to Wendell and the shortest way to the forests, he said. The turning fits the description I was given, but there should be a signpost and there's none. Tall trees rose around them, but no leaves rustled. The silence was heavy and complete. It was as if the land was holding its breath, waiting for them to decide what to do. The clouds parted for a moment, and the moon's ghostly light beamed down on them. Looking around, Leaf saw a tiny glimmer of white on the ground by the side of the road. He moved to it quickly, knelt down, then beckoned to Barda. "It is here," he called excitedly, scrambling among the dead leaves. "Someone has pushed it over to keep the way secret." The signpost lay flat on the ground, almost covered by leaves and small plants. Left brushed away the last of leaves, then sat back on his heels with a gasp as he saw what was underneath. Beware, beware. Someone has tried to warn other travelers of danger along this path. No doubt the sign was not pushed over to hide the way, but to hide the warning. Barda muttered. Leaf stood up slowly, glancing behind him. Suddenly the silence seemed thick and heavy, pressing in on him. He became aware that his companion was watching him, frowning. "This path will save us a day and a half if we take it," Barda said, "but perhaps I should not lead you into certain peril when we have just begun." All at once, Lef was very angry with Barda for seeing his fear with himself, for showing that fear, and most of all with the unknown enemy who had so craftily hidden the warning sign. You do not have to guard my safety any longer, Barda," he said loudly, kicking at the dead leaves. "A shortcut is too precious to waste. We are prepared for trouble now. We will watch for danger as we go." "Very well," said Barda, turning away. "As you wish." His voice was as calm and level as always. Left could not tell if he was pleased or sorry. They turned to the right, crossed the little bridge, and went on. The road twisted, narrowed, and became darker. Tall, thick bushes lined it on both sides. Their leaves were large, smooth, and stiff, with strange pale veins showing almost white against the dark green. They had not gone far before the back of Left's neck began to prickle. He turned his head slightly, and from the corner of his eye caught a glimpse of something gleaming through the leaves. It was a pair of red eyes, glinting in the moonlight. Controlling his urge to shout, he touched Barda's arm. "I see them," Barda muttered. "Draw your sword, but keep walking. Look to the front. Be ready." Lef did as he was told, his whole body tingling with alarm. He saw another pair of eyes and another, and soon it seemed that the whole path was lined with burning points of light, but still there was no sound. He gritted his teeth. The hand that held the sword was slippery with sweat. "What are they? What are they waiting for?" he hissed to Barda. As he spoke, something skittered across the road behind him. He swung around just in time to see a creature disappearing into the bushes. A bent, pale, scuttling thing that seemed all legs and arms. His skin crawled. "Look ahead," hissed Barda, furiously dragging on his arm to make him move again. "Didn't I tell you?" And then the humming began. The sound was soft at first. It came from all around them, filling the air. A high, whining hum, as if a great swarm of flying insects had suddenly invaded the road, but no insects were to be seen. Only the dark green of the leaves and the eyes watching, and the sound which grew louder and louder with every step they took. So that soon their heads were filled with it, and their ears began to ache and ring, and still the sound rose high, piercing, unbearable. Desperate to shut it out, they clapped their hands to their ears and bent their heads against it, walking faster and faster, breaking into a run. Their feet thudded on the endless path. Their breath came came hard and panting, their hearts beat like thunder. But they were aware of nothing, nothing but the pain of the sound that rose and rose, piercing their brains, driving out every thought. They ran, weaving and stumbling, desperate to escape it, but there was no escape. They cried out for help, but they could not even hear their own voices. Finally, they felt exhausted to lie, wreathing helpless in the dust. The sound rose to an agonizing wail of triumph. The leaves thrashed and rustled. A host of pale, lanky creatures with hot red eyes scuttled towards them, and in moments they were covered. Leaf woke slowly with no idea of where he was or how much time had passed. There was a dull ringing in his ears. His throat was raw. Every muscle in his body was aching. I'm alive, he thought with dull surprise. How is it that I'm alive? He struggled to think, though his brain seemed clouded by a thick fog. The last he remembered was running with Barda along the Wendell path, his head almost bursting with sound. After that, there was only blankness. Or was there? He seemed to remember a dream of needle sharp stinging pains all over his body, a dream of being poked and prodded by thin hard fingers, a dream of being carried jolting on bony shoulders, a dream of shrill tittering and muttering, while night turned into day, and day to night again. A terrible dream, but had it been a dream, or had it been real? Had it all been real? He was lying on his back, light slanted through branches high above him. It is day now. Then Leaf thought drowsily, late afternoon, by the look of it. But which afternoon? How long have I been unconscious, and where am I? He heard a groan nearby. He tried to turn his head, and it was only then that he realized that he could not move. Panic seized him. He tried to lift his hands, move his feet, but he could not even twitch a finger. How could they have bound me so completely? He thought stupidly, and slowly, horribly, the answer came to him. He was not tied up at all. His body was simply refusing to move at his will. What has happened? He cried aloud in terror. They stung us, as wasps sting caterpillars, as spiders sting flies. Barda's voice was thick and slow, but Leaf recognized it. He realized that it was Barda who had groaned. Barda was lying near to him. Barda was as helpless as he was. The creatures have paralyzed us so that we still live but cannot move. Barda's voice went on. They will be back and they will feast. Again he groaned. We are fools to ignore the warning sign. I am to blame. I could not imagine a weapon we could not fight, but that sound. No one could stand against it. I can't understand why the guards in Dell did not speak of it. Perhaps they did not know. Perhaps no one who has ever heard the sound has lived to tell of it, said Life. I have led you to your death. Leaf licked his dry lips. It is not your fault. We took the road together, and we are not dead yet, Barda. Where are we? The answer came even more slowly than before, and when it came, it filled Leaf's heart with dread. They carried us a long way, Barda said weakly. I think we are in the forests of silence. Leaf closed his eyes, trying to fight the wave of despair that was sweeping over him. And then a thought came to him. Why, he asked, why bring us here, to a place so far from their home? Because, called a new voice, you are too great a prize for the Wen alone. They have brought you as an offering for their god. The Wen bar likes fresh meat. It will come when the sun goes down. There was a rustle from the tree above, and as lightly as a butterfly, A wild-haired girl landed on the ground right beside Leaf's head. The Wenbar. Ooh. So could this be Jasmine? Or could this be Elven Face? So she must be an elf. So this is quite a great. I mean, I think this is a good stopping point. So we read 2 chapters, so we're at chapter 12. Um, but I think that is a really good stopping point. But wow, so they end up encountering Barda and Laif, Laif. I think it's Laif. Maybe that's how you pronounce his name. Laif and Barda. It sounds like so when they got in the forest, or not forest, but when they were walking, so whatever these insects or things were, or like they paralyzed them, meaning they couldn't move any part of they were alive, but they couldn't move any part. It could have been the venom. Maybe these things bit them or stung them, so like they injected them with something. But man, but it said what is it, that those things had stated that honestly the Wenbar sounds like maybe not even because it's going to talk about a girl, which I'm going to guess is Jasmine, but the Wenbar sounds like it's more of like a big monster, or like some sort of, maybe the king, or really the alpha, or what, maybe even like whatever paralyze is related, from what paralyzed Barda, the group of creatures that paralyzed Barda and Laif. Laif. I think that's how you say it. Laif. Laif. There we go. Laif. Um, but yeah, we'll see what happens. This actually kind of reminds me a cross between like The Hobbit and, definitely Harry Potter. Actually, it's funny because like it reminds me when in one of the Harry Potter movies, I think it was Goblet of Fire. It could have been, but Harry, Hermione, and Ron got ambushed by these spiders, these big spiders. But that's kind of like what it reminds me of. I don't remember what Harry Potter movie that was, but that's kind of what that chapter reminded me of. Even though there's only Barda, but I feel like we're probably gonna be reading about, because they said this girl that was up the tree looked and fell on Leaf, or fell on the ground behind Leaf, said that she was elfish looking. So, but I'm definitely liking this book a lot. I think very high of it. But let's see if the game has, because it's weird. Don't allow. Please reconnect. Okay. Well, I did. I am signed. Well, you know what? We'll just sign in as a guest. So we don't really need. We could, but the Wi-Fi is good, so we're not having issues with that. Yeah, it's coming. But yeah, I will say I really like these bucket of figures way, but actually I want to show you guys the other dragons that I've had for a while, the ones that came in that mega set. So not the bucket I got Friday, but before that. But some of the unique dragons they had a skrill in there as well. But since but this guy is also very unique. I don't know what dragon this guy is, but I think he's actually in the book. But it shows you the whole list of dragon species. Um so yeah, here's like the scat of the poop of the what these dragons what comes out the other end of these dragons. Monstrous. Okay, so this is the monstrous nightmare poop. I like how she sketches like, yeah. So there's monstrous nightmare, which is snow runt. Hook. The his hook fang is the species of dragon. Deadly shadow. Gronkle. So Gronkle is meatlug. That is fish legs dragon. That's his poop. That's his scat. What it would look like. We've got. So they actually used a monstrous nightmare poo because they're flaming. They're on the poop is on fire but they can use it as fire starters. So Vikings actually can use the monstrous nightmare when it lays a freshly flammable turd and can use it to start a fire. That's cool. Mood dragons. Bullguard slave dragons. These are cool. Who is this? This is the Grimlor dragon. So, wow, so maybe this was. I'm wondering if it says here. I actually do want to get the full set of these books because I feel like we're doing really good with deltora quests, as I've said, but I think Wednesday. I don't know if Wednesday would be. There is a bookstore near me that might even have the full collection. So, but what is it? The Grimlor. So it says here that a Grimlor dragon adopted Hiccup the second when he was a baby. She was able to do this because Grimlors suckle their young like mammals. The Grimlor went on to have a batch of 3 young Grimlors of her own, and she also later adopted a lonely young sea dragon, already considerably larger than herself, who befriended the young Hiccup. The sea dragon grew up to become the mighty dragon Furious. That's cool. Exterminator dragons. This exterminator is being ridden by the arch enemy Elvin the Treacherous. Okay, this must be a sketch of Elvin and his exterminator dragon. That's cool. I love the artwork for these books. It's very unique. And I mean, so he's a man who has now sworn to hunt all dragons down to extinction. So this guy wants all dragons dead. He wants them extinct. That serves him the name as Exterminator. Next up, we've got Razor Wings. These dragons have razor sharp wings that can decapitate victims in a heartbeat. They can turn as flat as a spinning blade and are armed with mildly poisonous darts. Speed 7, attack 7, fear factor 7. We have the raptor tongues. Raptor tongues live hidden in the deep crevices of the murderous mountains or the gorge of the thunderbolt of Thor. They have an extraordinary ability to flatten themselves, which means they can squeeze through surprisingly small spaces, and they make excellent spy dragons. Fear factor 7, attack 7, speed 7, size 7. Is that uh, obedience 5? And it says fact here, they love fish. Or no, not love chicken, not fish. They love chicken. But I love these sketches of these dragons. It's very unique. It's very unique. It's But here are some of the dragons that we. Yeah, these are beautiful. True flying. Dragon evolution. So this is a dragon evolution. This talks about dragon evolution, but this is stages of a windwalker. But a windwalker is an example of a dragon who evolves during the course of its lifetime. But it says a newborn windwalker is rather extraordinary ball of feathers and fur that looks remarkably like a cross-eyed duckling mixed with an anxious wolf cub. Okay, that's funny. It actually looks like a small dog that's like losing its hair with wings, but there's a newborn windwalker right here. And then we have a young windwalker, does not run or fly very fast. Its fur slows it down and it has wobbly ankles and bendy wings. As it grows, the windwalker gradually sheds its hair and becomes sleeker, faster, and more aerodynamic. The ankles strengthening the bending wings become an advantage as the dragon gains control and mastery over them. And by the time it reaches its late adolescence, the Windwalker is nearly as fast as the Silver Phantom. In its 17th year, the Windwalker enters its chrysalis stage. So, 17th year. So when they turn, I'm guessing 17, this is what their chrysalis is going to look like. And then, like a great black butterfly, the Windwalker builds its chrysalis chrysalis inside a dark remote cave. It stays inside the chrysalis for 6 or 7 months, and I am not quite sure what will happen next because my own windwalker hasn't evolved yet. That's cool. This talks about riding. Okay, now, so here's some more dragons. We've got the zebra mounts. Zebra mounts are often a first choice of riding dragon for a young Viking because of their gentle, placid natures. However, it can be difficult to get them moving at all. Stubborn as a mule, as they say. They're called zebra mounts. Zebra mounts. Speed 1. Attack 1. Fear factor 1. Size 3. But yeah, this is a zebra mount. Yeah, these things have wings. I mean, can't they fly? But stubborn as a dragon, as they say. Well, stubborn as a mule, but stubborn as a dragon. That is very stubborn and doesn't want to move. So do you have to slap it on the ass then? But next up we have raven hunters. So raven hunters are used by the villain the arch enemy we discussed that had the executioner dragon, Elvin the Treacherous. But he uses these raven hunters as spy dragons or to deliver messages. These dragons are immensely greedy, so they can be bribed to change sides if they are offered sufficient quantities of their favorite food, scallops. So, okay, so I guess anybody who loves seafood, you can get this bird or this dragon to do your bidding for you. If you don't want them to listen to somebody extremely bad and is used as a message giver, give these guys scallops. Why not? Next up, we've got the rocket rippers. Fear factor is 7. Attack is 7. Speed is definitely at 9. Size 6, and obedience is at 6. But rocket rippers have awesome flying skills. They are completely flat, so the rider has to lie on his or her stomach, which makes the dragons tricky to control. But look at that. It's like that Viking is holding on for dear life because that dragon's moving incredibly fast. Look at that. I mean, the drawing just captures that very well. Next up, we've got the bull. What is it? Bull ruffers? Bull ruffer, yep. Most Viking warriors have a riding dragon that is the ultimate battle dragon. A bull ruffer. What is it? Yeah, a bull ruffer. These tough dragons are surprisingly nimble in the air considering their size, weight, and body armor. Yeah, these guys look like they look very well strong and cool. Some of these names are just like really foolish, but like this guy, this looks like the hideous Zippleback. But it's called the two-headed Gormatron. I'm wondering if this dragon's ever been on the Gravitron at the Freiburg Fair. Fear factor 2, attack 1, speed 2, size 4, disobedience is 6. Gormatrons are so stupid that it is truly remarkable that they have survived in the barbaric ar- archipelago. Pelago. Perhaps it is because they are a bit smelly and don't taste very nice. The two heads often pull the Gormatron in opposite directions, causing it to go around in circles, sometimes for hours. And by the time he has stopped going around in circles, he has forgotten what he was doing in the first place. So yeah, if you were to state the most dumbass dragon, this guy would be on the list. And I honestly, so this would be the dragon I would not order at a restaurant. I'd be like, do not get me a Gormatron. Trust me. I mean, I've heard they taste like shit. I love this because the Vikings like on the dragon, but yeah, if they're man, I mean, I feel like they're gonna put every dragon in here just to give them attention, like the lesser known dragons. We've got the chick. Okay, we've got another weird name dragon, the chicken poxers. So poor fish legs is on this chicken poxer, and it's bucking him off for the 15th time. So you definitely do not want to have these guys in the West, or you don't want to be on one of these guys. Don't replace the bull for bull riding. Don't replace him with the chicken poxers. Chicken pox. I feel like maybe the chicken poxers would make it more of a deadly sport or one of the most dangerous sports. Uh, Chicken poxers are often used as the first riding dragons for young Vikings because they come in little sizes. What are we talking? Nugget or chicken finger size or bite size? Bite size or tender size? However, they are hard to ride because they are so hot tempered. I get it, hot tempered. They often stop suddenly in midair, sending the rider sailing over the dragon's head, or buck madly like a wild horse, unseating the rider in seconds. Let's see. Fear factor 2, attack 2, speed 3, size 3, disobedience is 6. Um, yeah, I mean, wait, this reminds me of KFC. I mean, instead of poor fish legs, why can't Colonel Sanders be in the picture? Or he had his like own mascot or his own like carnival ride. You could call it the chicken poxer. Whoever stays on the chicken longer and doesn't get bucked off wins. Next up we have, okay, so this is definitely a dragon that I feel like is all gonna be biz. This is the Silver Phantom. Fear factor 10, attack 10, speed 10, size 7, disobedience 8. Here, here Hiccup the First is sitting on the bank of a very rare female silver phantom. Only the females have that single horn like a unicorn. Okay, cool. But there it is. That is a cool dragon. And they're rare, it says. Oh, we got sky dragons. I think we just dragon riding. So these are toothless. These are his real footprints. Damn, these look. If I saw these walking on a trail in Portland, I'd be probably pooping out Twinkies. So it actually okay, this is really cool. But you can actually speak dragon in here. So this is what Toothless. So yeah, this is so basically these are examples of Toothless talking to Hiccup and Dragonese with the Norse translation below. So Me Maz or Mia Haas BB buckets I belly scream, which translates to I'm very hungry. Me has buckets belly scream. I'm very hungry. Me insa burped. See isa middling o zuz time. That's Toothless stating that I don't care if it is the middle of the night. Oi, grubbings! Snap, snip, snap. Oi. Okay, so it. See. Sorry, Isa. Middling o I zuz time. Meaning, I don't care if it's the middle of the night. That's cool. I don't care if it's the middle of the night. Okay, that's what Hiccup would say. So, and then, so Toothless would say, plus me. Plus me. I grubbing snip snap, which means it's translating to Hiccup, and I want food right now. Or my daughter, for that matter. Um, and then in Dragonese, if you want to say me meaty, oi, oi, salt, or I salt sticks, salt sticks. Hiccup, hey, so it's transferring into human language saying I want oysters. Toothless says it as me meaty, oi, salt sticks. Damn, I would not want to. If I saw a dragon take a shit in my shoe, I wouldn't like that. Yeah, so you're gonna let your Night Fury Toothless poo in Jared Butler's slippers. Very nice. Okay, so here's some of like the smaller dragons. These are called squealers. Stink dragons. Eight-legged battle gores. Toxic nightshades. Marsh tigers. Long-eared caretaker dragons. Sidewind monstrous nightmares. Okay. This is monstrous nightmare. Flying gators, rhinobacks, big spotted cormorants. We've got the rhinobacks are cool. We got the flying gators, flash fangs. Wow. So here are some of the eggs these dragons lay. So let's see. Rocket Ripper, Sand Razor, Doomfang, the Exterminator, Windwalker, Breath Quencher. Vampire spy dragons, giant bee eaters, we've got short winged squirrel serpents, strangulators, we've got driller dragons, scullions, stinky worms, flame truffers, flame huffers. Actually, we've got ripperors. So gronkles are great. Red hot itchy worms, eight-legged natters, cave dragons. Dragon eyes. I am a secret dragon watcher. see. You got Golfins, Winter Flushers, the Monster of the Amber Slayerlands, Brainless Leg Removers, Doomfangs, Leviathorgans, Dark Breathers, Woden's Nightmares, Thor's Thunderers, Sea Dragons, Gigantus Maximus, Know Your Dragons, Superhuman Side, and the Rebellion, Riding Dragons. So this is a guide. Okay, so most of those dragons we read about are going to be in the collection of books. That makes sense. So awesome. But anyways, guys, I'm gonna go. Thank you all for watching and have a great night.